Professor Britton Sakesna, Dr. Edward Gumbo. Colleagues, I'm not even going to read or anything. They will be introduced to you during this conference, and I think you will have a feast of intellectual stimulation in this. I want to end up with just a request. I want you to enjoy this conference. I want you to feel the UniZulu welcome and to become a UniZulu person whilst you're here with us. But we are so blessed. We have more than 200 participants, a lot. I can't even remember what is the number of papers that we have. All intellectuals, all academics, all concerned about our theme. Africa, a beacon of strength and stability in turbulent times. And we strongly feel about this theme. There's turbulent times around us, everywhere, in Europe, in Asia, everywhere. And Africa is our beacon of strength. And we need to look for that strength, and we need to enlarge that strength, and we need to research that strength and stability to find our own space in the world. Long ago, I want to end up with a small little thing. I sometimes think about Africa in a similar way as a pantry in your house. A pantry is the smallest room in your house with the richest resources. All the resources are there in that pantry. Your whole household is in there, in that pantry. That pantry normally doesn't even have a light. It's not well planned, but all the resources are there for this. I want us to break open that pantry of resources. I want us to look into that pantry and understand our own resources and not think about what is the resources somewhere else, because we have it. We have all the knowledge, we have all the strength, we have all the indigenous knowledge. We only need to dig deep and think wider and think new, and then we are working for Africa, with Africa, and we all is aiming at the same goal. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dean, for your kind welcome this morning, and I'm sure you are now free now that the Dean of the Faculty has welcomed you. Our next person on the agenda is on the outline of proceedings is Professor Gnene, DVC for Research and Innovation, who's just going to do the opening. After Professor Gnene, I'm not going to stand. Professor Calvino will come and introduce Mr. Stanley Godi to give his remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Program Director. Our Vice Chancellor, Professor Mtose, and our keynote speakers. I would like to acknowledge first the Honorable Premier of KwaZulu-Natal, the Tamsanta Nguli. Thank you, sir. Mr. Stanley Godi, from the public sector coming from APSA. Professor Shiv K. Tripathi, Dean of the Faculty of Science, of Administration and Law. Sorry, I'm still talking to the keynote speakers. There's Dean of the Faculty of Economics and Business Administration at the Berlin School of Business and Innovation in Germany, who is here. Also, I would like to acknowledge the executives of the University of Zululand who are present in this conference, and of course, the Dean of the Faculty, Professor Helling, and the Deputy Deans, Kaseram and Professor Nana Makigaba. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, and specifically our students who are here, greetings and welcome to the 9th MBALI conference hosted by the University of Zululand. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all as delegates of this 2025 MBALI conference, whose theme is Africa, a beacon of strength and stability in turbulent times. Of course, I think Prof. Heiling has already spoken some of my notes, which is fine, but I will continue nevertheless. This conference theme resonates deeply with our continent's narrative, a story of perseverance, innovation, and progress. We gather at a time when the world continues to face profound uncertainty, from economic instability and climate change to technological disruptions and rising inequality. Yet, amid these global shifts, Africa stands tall, not as a continent defined by its challenges, but as a source of resilience, just as Prof. Heiling mentioned. Also by its ingenuity and opportunity. Africa's strength lies in its diversity, creativity, and unwavering resilience in the face of adversity. This theme also suggests that Africa has a unique strength that can help not only the continent itself, but also contribute to global stability and innovation. For instance, as Prof mentioned, Africa's indigenous knowledge systems and its resourcefulness can drive new models of sustainable development. Similarly, Africa's young population, digital innovation, and entrepreneurial spirit are framed as strategic assets. The future implied is where young people are equipped to lead through education, digital inclusion, and economic participation. Our theme also invites us to reflect critically, but also constructively, on how Africa is navigating and responding to turbulent times. There is compelling evidence that Africa is not only adapting, but also leading in ways that offer lessons to the world. Over the coming days, I noted a few of the discussions that will come from our experts and thought leaders and our emerging thought leaders, which are our students, of course, who will be addressing critical questions that are crucial for the continent's future, such as what is needed to support small and medium-sized enterprises to grow, adapt, and thrive in a competitive economy? How can entrepreneurship among youth and women be harnessed as a tool for social transformation? How can we leverage digital marketing and technology to open new markets? How can we achieve food security? So these are just some of the discussions that I could climb up. But what is significant is that these are issues that are central to Africa's development priorities and speak to our responsibility as scholars, policymakers, innovators, and citizens. As a university that has positioned itself as a node of the African thought, thanks to our Vice Chancellor, which believes that knowledge production should be relevant and responsive to our communities. This conference is an extension of that commitment. Let me conclude by thanking the organizing committee, the Dean, of course, Professor Heiling, her team, especially Prof. Kaseram, who is the lead organizer, as well as our academic partners, sponsors. Well-known is APSA, as it has been mentioned, and we thank you for that. And every contributor who has made these conference events possible. I would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to all the delegates, those who are live here, and those who will be joining online, who will be participating in this 9th MBALI conference. We are looking forward to engaging conversations and meaningful connections. And thank you for having traveled from different areas nationally and even globally to join us here in KwaZulu-Natal. I don't know what Prof. Kheling was saying, but I suspect if you are from Gauteng or even from the Cape, you're gonna enjoy this weather. Yeah. Also, I would like to encourage participants to approach this conference not only as a learning experience, but also as a call to action to collaborate across the disciplines, the sectors, and borders in building the Africa that we want. So on behalf of my Vice Chancellor, who's here, I declare the conference officially open. Thank you.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, all protocol observed, my VC, Mr. Mtuli, my Dean, my previous Dean, my family. As you know, we're all aging, and yes, I'm aging as well, so here we go. It is my distinct honor today to introduce to you a very important man. Now, I was already this morning warned. Wandile, where are you? Yeah. Wandile said I shouldn't say anything inappropriate because this is his boss that I'm introducing to you guys. So it is indeed a distinct honor to introduce a leader whose professional journey resonates deeply with our conference theme, Africa as a beacon of strength and stability in turbulent times. Mr. Stanley Gordy is a highly accomplished financial services executive, currently serving as the coverage head of the public sector of Absa Bank South Africa. With over 27 years of banking experience and more than 2 decades in senior leadership, he brings deep insight into both commercial and public sector finance. His expertise spans retail banking, commercial banking, and wealth management. Academically, Mr. Gordy also holds an MBA and has completed advanced executive leadership programs at IMB Business School in Switzerland, Henley Business School, and GIBS, reflecting his long commitment to strategic excellence. He's not only a banker, he's therefore also passionate about impact. We are in good company, ladies and gentlemen. Throughout his career, Mr. Gordy has led complex cross-sector initiatives aimed at advancing financial sustainability, development impact, as well as inclusive growth. His leadership is marked by a strong governance ethic, risk awareness, and a collaboration approach to innovation, making him a trusted voice in both institutional as well as social spheres. Mr. Gordy brings a rare blend of strategic foresight and development consciousness shaped by both global leadership, exposure, and deep engagement with African institutions. At a time when Africa must continue to assist or assert its resilience and lead with purpose, I believe Mr. Gordy's work offers valuable insights into how financial systems can be leveraged for long-term stability and transformation. That being said, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Stanley Gordy.
Good morning. Sanbonani. Goeiemorgen. Avshen. Aye. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for the warm introduction. But I will just start by greeting the Honorable Premier of our beautiful province, Mr. Mtuli. So for those who don't know, I spent around 5 years in this province working. I understand the ins and outs of the province. So I'm not really just from Joburg. I also want to greet the Honorable Vice Chancellor, Umam Xoliswa Mtose, the the Dean on the Commons Administration and Law, Professor L. Greyling. She doesn't want to be called a professor, but I said not everyone deserves to be called a professor. All the various deans of various faculties here today, I'm not going to call them all by names, the esteemed researchers, students, and all distinguished guests. Colleagues, as a bank, it's really a privilege to be involved in this initiative. As ABSA, we are committed to education and development. And our involvement here, it's not coincidental. It is purpose-driven. We proudly provide primary banking to about 38% of all universities in South Africa, and the 68% of all the TVETs in South Africa. So that should show our keenness in the higher education sector and development. Colleagues, this is not just a statistic, but it's a reflection of our shared commitments through partnership in education. This morning I want to talk about the role which research can play in bridging the gap. Research is not only a scholarly pursuit, but it's a tool that we must use to bridge the gap, because what is and what's possible. Let's take a moment to reflect on some of South African economic developments or performances over the last 5 years. If we look at 2020, which was a lockdown year, we have seen an economy contracting about 6.4%, which was understandable. In 2021, we saw a recovery at about to 6.4% of GDP, but from a very low base. In 2022, things were starting to normalize. We've seen growth slowing down to about 1.9. In 2023, went to 0.7. In 2024, 0.6. So clearly you can see that although there's some bit of recovery, but the numbers are not sufficient to create the economy that we want, in the Africa that we want, in South Africa that we want. According to Stats SA, if you look at the Q1 2025, our official unemployment rate is standing at 32.9%. That's about 8.2 million South Africans unemployed. This excludes what they call expanded unemployment rate, which that goes to 46.1. That includes people who have already given up in looking for jobs. Also of concerning is that of that number, 46.1% of those unemployment numbers is youth. And that's the future of our country. Colleagues, these numbers speak loudly, and they are calling us to act. From a continent perspective, we see growth patterns, they differ, but challenges are almost similar, with a lack of economic diversification, underutilized of human capital. And at ABSA, our response is anchored in our vision and mission statement, and that's to be a leading Pan-African bank that delivers outperformance by empowering Africa's tomorrow together, one step at a time. And I believe, without a doubt, that being part of the UniZulu's MBALI International Conference is one of our giant steps that we have taken in unlocking that vision. From a research perspective, if we were to look at unlock the inclusive growth, the research must just do more than just informing policy. It must ignite action. Let's highlight 3 critical research priorities that I believe can shape our future. Youth unemployment. How do we develop a scalable and inclusive models to unlock young talent? Women unemployment. There are statistics here that shows that women makes up 44% of the employment population in South Africa. And, but if you look back, based on the Q1 2025 statistical report, women have accounted for 77% of job losses. That is about 223 jobs compared to 67,000. So, and we all know that women are the anchor of our communities and our families and everything. This is not just an inequality, it's an opportunity for transformative research. Rural economic activation. How can we stimulate the underdeveloped regions through targeted investments entrepreneurship, and support. These are areas where research can directly impact policy and lives. And I know this faculty is well positioned to lead and take us through that. Looking ahead, today we are here to celebrate knowledge and the work of brilliant minds who are shaping the future of South Africa, Africa, and the world. As you know, as APSA, one of our core values is inclusion. Inclusion means that we truly believe that we are stronger together. Together we can share knowledge, embrace diversity, multiply our collective impact. As we look ahead, I'm excited that next year will mark the 10th anniversary of this prestigious conference. And for us at APSA, it will also be a decade of meaningful partnership with the MBALI International Conference and UniZulu. We look forward to that celebration, but more importantly, look forward to the work that we'll continue to do with the university. Thank you, Ngiyabonga.
Thank you very much, Mr. Godi, for such a powerful remarks. The Dean wants to present something to Mr. Godi.
We have a small thing for you to remember our MBALI 9th one. Thank you, Mr. Godi.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Godi, for thank you for your remarks this morning and for being concise and to the point. Thank you very much. I can tell that you are from our faculty. And thank you for the remarks that we've shared. One thing I want to emphasize, which is very important, is that research is not only for scholarly pursuit, but it must bridge the gap of what it is and is possible. And also research must ignite action. We publish in journal articles and we write chapters in books and we write books so that there must be action. Research is not just for us to put what we have researched on the shelf, but it must be. And I'm happy that our university says if you want to be a professor, you must be an H2 index to see whether people are using your research, because research must ignite action. Thank you very much. Before I call Professor Ayandibu, may I ask that we stand? The band would lead us on in our national anthem, and Professor Ayandibu, after we sing the national anthem, will come and introduce our keynote speaker, who is our Honorable Premier. Thank you. Please stand.
Africa, always do this when I need to come to the podium because of my blessed eyes. Good morning, everyone. I'm standing on all existing protocols. This morning, it gives me a privilege, like a great pleasure, to introduce our Honorable Premier, Mr. Mtuli. And before I introduce him to us this morning, I would like us to learn something about the Premier. Our great Premier was here a few years back. He attended MBALI, then he was the mayor of King Tshwayo municipality. And one thing, he's got many things we can learn, but one of those things is time management. Time management. Yeah, a few years back, he came in, I think, like an hour before our program. And today, I was also called this morning by the chief of staff and also the media manager and said, the premier will be there in the next 2 minutes. And that was around 8:30. And the program starts at 9. So Premier, you are highly respected for that. Thank you very much. The Honorable Premier, Otto Tamsaka Ntuli, is from Vumantlamvu, a deep rural village in Nkandla in KwaZulu-Natal. He completed his high school education at Nkandla Secondary School and thereafter worked as a security guard in Ulundi. He then completed a diploma in education at Rand African University. He thereafter completed his advanced diploma in education at the University of KwaZulu-Natal and Bachelor of Education honors in law management at the University of Pretoria. He was a teacher and principal for over 20 years before pursuing his career in local government. In local government, he served as a PR councillor and as a ward councillor from 2010 to 2024. During his time as a councillor, he served as the mayor of Nkandla local municipality from 2012 to 2021. He also served as a district level and also served as mayor of King Tshwayo District Municipality from 2021 to 2024. Post the November 2021 local government election, Tamsaka Ntuli was elected to lead the South African local post the November 2021 local government elections. He was selected to lead the South African Local Government Association in KwaZulu-Natal, SAGA KZN. In 2024, post the provincial and national election, he was elected as a member of the provincial legislature in KwaZulu-Natal. He subsequently was elected to the position of Premier of KwaZulu-Natal on the 14th of July, 2024. Honorable Premier Otto Tamsaka Ntuli has served in many structures in Inkatha Freedom Party. From a constituency level, he rose to become the secretary of IFP King Tshwayo District before becoming the chairperson of the district. He is currently the KwaZulu-Natal provincial chairperson of the Inkatha Freedom Party. He is also a member of the National Council and is a National Executive Committee member. He is also the chairperson of the Daily Management Committee. Honorable Premier Otto Tamsaka Ntuli is well known for his tireless commitment to development and his pragmatic approach to governance, which has led to the organizations under his watch, achieving consistently clean audits, especially his oversight role of SAGA KZN. And the district of King Tshwayo, his vision is best articulated by his words as his first state of the provincial address in 2024, where he said, governments must work with traditional leaders and the civil society because we have a shared vision for a safe, crime-free, and prosperous province. Let us join our hands together as I welcome the Honorable Premier.
Well, thank you very much for the introduction. I wish to also thank the program director who referred to himself as Mr. Monument. Professor Mtoso, who's the Vice Chancellor, and the Deputy Professor Gnene, and the other Deputy Vice Chancellor, Professor Momlomo, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Professor Khreiling, the sponsors, in particular the main sponsor, Mr. Bodi from ABSA, who spoke here earlier. Distinguished academics and delegates, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen. I must say it's an honor and it's humbling to receive an invitation to make little input on the dialogue that is taking place here in this important conference. On a theme which is a beacon of strength and stability in turbulent times. Africa's story begins not in the margins of history, but at its very center. From the astronomical wisdom of the Dogon people to the architectural marvels of Kemet. From the governance system of Mali and Songhai to the philosophical traditions of Ethiopia and Mapungubwe. Africa was the first to civilize the world. Our ancestors were astronomers, healers, philosophers, and builders of empires. They developed systems of knowledge rooted in consensus, moral authority, and spiritual technologies that sustained communities for millennia. These were not primitive societies. They were sophisticated, resilient, and deeply human. Then came the long night of colonialism. Our systems were disrupted, our languages suppressed, and our knowledge dismissed. Yet Africa stood. We stood because our traditions, our elders, and our ceremonies held us together. We stood because our memory was not erased. It was preserved in song, in story, and in ritual. It was during this epoch that a new kind of African leadership emerged, one that fused tradition with resilience. Among these leaders was Chief Albert Luthuli, a Nobel Peace Prize winner. Another leader you will remember, who's not far from here, is Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, a statesman who understood that dignity, identity, and development are inseparable. Under his leadership, the Zulu government invested in education, cultural preservation, and local governance laying the foundation for the academic institutions we celebrate today. Today, institutions like the University of Zululand are not just centers of learning. They are nodes of African thought. Under the visionary leadership of Professor Mtose, UniZul has become a beacon of African scholarship, community engagement, and innovation. The MBALI program, which is led with distinction by Professor Freiling, really is a testament to our intellectual renaissance. It is here that African academics gather, not to echo foreign paradigms, but to lead the global discourse, to be the genesis of new knowledge. We now enter a new epoch, one defined by artificial intelligence, automation, and algorithmic governance. But let us be clear, artificial intelligence is not neutral. It is shaped by the values of its creators. In a world still dominated by a Eurocentric and Western imperialist paradigms, there is a real danger that artificial intelligence will replicate and amplify historical injustices. If we do not assert our epistemologies, our languages, and our values in this digital age, we risk becoming data points in someone else's empire. We must therefore invest in African artificial intelligence, in indigenous coding languages, in digital ethics rooted in Ubuntu. We must teach our children that their languages are not absolute. They are cosmic, mathematical, and scientific. The African continental free trade area is not just an economic agreement, it is a civilizational project. It is our opportunity to move from being exporters of raw materials to producers of value-added goods. It is our chance to build regional value chains, innovation hub, and cultural industries that reflect who we are. KwaZulu-Natal, with its ports, special economic zones, and logistics corridors, is poised to be a gateway to Africa's renaissance. We are investing in infrastructure, supporting SMEs, and promoting townships and rural economies. Ensure that no one is left behind. But we require the institutions of higher learning to help us with research that will provide a model that will work for the growth of our economy. From Queen Nandi, Princess Makoko kaDinizulu, Charlotte Maklenge, umama Irene Okamzila Buthelezi, to Indlovukazi Matom Kasobhuza, African women have always led with courage, wisdom, and spiritual authority. Their legacies are not only etched in history, but continue to shape the moral and intellectual fabric of our continent. The future stability of Africa rests on our ability to empower women at every level, in education, governance, the economy, and research. Institutions like the University of Zululand must continue to be incubators of this transformation, leading from the front as they are doing today. Ladies and gentlemen, we have lived through a regrettable epoch marked by an anti-intellectualism, often cloaked in the dismissive rhetoric of clever blacks. This phrase, weaponized to undermine critical thoughts and scholarly engagements, has cast a long shadow over our public discourse. It has discouraged a rigorous debate, vilified excellence, and created a false a dichotomy between intellect and authenticity. We must now address this legacy with clarity and courage. Let us be unmistakably clear. Intellectualism is not elitism. It is the lifeblood of any society that seeks to grow, to innovate, and to govern justly. Our scholars, thinkers, and researchers are not a threat. They are a national asset. In this new epoch, we must restore the dignity of thought, elevate the role of the academy, and ensure that knowledge, once again, becomes a tool of liberation. Africa is not a rising, it is being reborn. But this rebirth requires memory, identity, and vision. It requires that we honor our past, confront our present, and shape our future with courage. Let us remember the words of Professor Ekreiling. I wish to quote, "The time for Africa to be part of the discussion is over. It is now time for Africa to lead the discussion," close quote. Let us lead not by imitation, but by becoming more fully ourselves. As I conclude, Program Director, we witness the rise of a new era, an epoch of renewed hope, shaped by political dynamism and a reawakening of intellectual integrity. This is a time when those in academia or those inclined towards a scholarly pursuit need not fear marginalization or persecution. The era of suspicion toward intellectuals is drawn to a close. Indeed, as the practice of cadre deployment wanes, we begin to envision a future where academic excellence is not only welcomed, but essential to our national development. Scholars, researchers, and critical thinkers are no longer seen as threats. They are now recognized as valuable resources in shaping policy, governance, and innovation. Let us embrace this moment with clarity and courage. Let us build a society where knowledge is honored, where truth is pursued, and where the academy is a pillar of our democracy. Ngiyathokoza kakhulu. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Premier. The Dean wants to present something. Honorable Premier. Honorable Premier.
This time, we want to give you something again from MBALI to remember us, because we take your words as wisdom and as guidance.
Thank you.
So
Yes.
this is for 2025. If you look at that, remember that we understand and that we are doing it. And this is from your friend Gordon, from us, to carry all your work around. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mpemba, for your address to us this morning. If I was in the church, I would have said, the Holy Spirit that is in you is the Holy Spirit that is in us. Because when you started, you spoke directly to the webinar we had yesterday on decolonizing research to respond to Africa's varied challenges. You really spoke to what was spoken to us by our keynote speaker yesterday. It was as if you were there. And thank you very much. And thank you for your wisdom. And thank you for the way you lead this province. And without further ado, may I ask Professor Ilesamni, it's doctor, but you should say, I receive while you come up. Dr. Ilesamni, thank you.
Thank you so much, Program Director. I would like to stand on existing protocols. Well, my task this morning is very simple. It's basically to explain the process of awarding of best papers. Previously, we used two criteria. The first criteria is those who've submitted full papers, so we review the papers, as well as we then assess the presentation. But this year, we're improving the process by, in the process of maintaining academic integrity, we also check for AI detection, AI use, plagiarism, and all that. So this year, we're using three criteria. The first criteria is for those who submitted full papers. So if you have not submitted full papers, so you know that you're already out of the process. So those who submitted full papers, then the second criteria is the presentation. So we have some adjudicators who go around the rooms to assess the presentation. And in terms of the assessing the presentation, we have three criteria we use in terms of visual communication, eye contact, the flow of the research, time management, and other procedures. Then also, lastly, that's the third criteria, which is we check for plagiarism, because we see with the advent of AI, people write papers with AI and all that. So that's the first criteria. So once the index is so high, we just automatically take it out. So I think that is all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you very much. And please don't go away. We have plenary session after tea. I'm going to ask the Honorable Premier, my Vice Chancellor, and DVCs and all big people to take a photo outside. And then afterwards, we'll take a group photo, have tea, and come back for plenary. I'm giving you 20 minutes, exactly 20 minutes for the photos, the group photo, and tea. And let's come back for plenary so that we have a very long day.